Bonjour from Los Angeles. It's late August, but it still feels like March. COVID-19 has unleashed disruption across every organization. We will noodle on business recovery. Could wearing Crocs be considered a new business chic? Don't judge. And in an exclusive interview with Abdelaziz,
not just talk the talk, but walk the walk.
we learn how your business purpose is essential to your business recovery. We'll look at these topics and more in the premiere of the Microsoft Advertising Download.
Microsoft Advertising.
The Download.
Tell me what you want. What you want. When you want it.
The Download.
Tell me what you want. What you want. When you want it.
Welcome to episode 1 of the Microsoft Advertising Download. My name is Jennifer Solomon-Baum, coming to you from our currently very empty Los Angeles offices. And on behalf of all my remote colleagues at Microsoft Advertising, we're delighted to welcome you to our new show. Our purpose for the download is to deliver a monthly program full of insights, trends, thought-provoking ideas, and exclusive interviews, all nicely wrapped up for you in under half an hour. Because frankly, that's all we can take these days, isn't it? And for this first one, our focus is on business recovery and what that means for you today. Whether you are a chief marketing officer, a senior ad agency executive, or a digital advertising specialist, this show is for you. Coming up, in our debut episode, we have an exclusive interview with Abdelaziz, the best-selling author of the book Good is the New Cool. Abdel is one of the world's top authorities on business purpose, and we'll hear from him on why this matters now more than ever. Also, my colleague Sulin Howe will lead a segment called the Noodle with our special guest, Jeff Pickett from Omnicom Media Group, Gisele Kunen from LATAM Airlines, and John Myers from Ascending Media. And we will noodle on what business recovery means for them. In our client spotlight, we'll look at Crocs and how they have been walking the talk for social good during the pandemic. All right, here we go. Let's kick things off with my co-host, directly from Seattle, Jeffrey Colon.
Now, before we ever heard the term COVID, there was already a brand shift happening on the edges around a more human-centered approach to business. And now, as a result of COVID-19, we see this design and marketing movement going from the edges to the center of customer experience. It's becoming the main strategy for a lot of brands during this time of business recovery. We call it marketing with purpose. Back at the end of 2019, we here in the Brand Studio launched a daily short-form podcast called Insights with Microsoft Advertising. Back then, it was more of a general audio tip sheet for marketers. But when the pandemic hit, it took on a new life as we were collecting a lot of data on COVID-related consumer behavior. You might say we found our own purpose for the program. If we had to produce just one Insights podcast to represent 2020, it would be this, voiced by our colleague Nikki DeMar.
For decades, management consultants and economic thought leaders warned us about business disruption. And now, here we are, in a very different kind of world. All those ominous think pieces you read are now coming to life. Disruption is here. All of us in marketing and advertising are being called to answer an essential question. What does your brand stand for? Many of the trends we are seeing amplified as a result of COVID-19 have actually been around for a long time. The pandemic has simply acted as a fast-forward button, pushing organizations and the people working in them to evolve at a much faster pace than the usual 5-year plan. The celebrated American author and businessman Alvin Toffler foresaw this breathtaking transformation in a visionary book back in 1970. He called this phenomenon future shock. Too much change in too short a period of time. So what insights should we marketers take away from all of this sudden change? Here are 3 things. Number 1, your business purpose should guide all decisions across people, community, stakeholders, customers, and the planet. Business purpose should encourage companies to implement robust policies that make a genuine impact in areas that matter most. Number 2, in the 21st century, your people and your customers rightly demand that businesses do the most they can when it comes to acting ethically, rather than the least they can get away with. And number 3, to achieve this, purpose must be embedded into the very DNA of your business. Otherwise, it's impossible to create change that is meaningful and sustainable.
Yes, indeed. The coronavirus pandemic has posed so many questions in the business world, but none more important than, what does your brand stand for? And if you want more insights, check out the link below. We update those regularly with information in retail, travel, automotive, and every vertical you can think of. One nugget I enjoyed from our United Kingdom retail marketplace insights was that brand popularity and search investment both drove positive campaign performance during the downturn. And while many advertisers cut spend, those that didn't are now 2 steps ahead during this period of business recovery. Of course, if you like hearing more insights like this, we encourage you to subscribe to our daily audio podcast, Insights with Microsoft Advertising. If you're home like most of us and listening to more audio on a smart speaker, you can simply say, Alexa, play Insights with Microsoft Advertising on Apple Podcasts. And for more on marketing with purpose, let's take the information superhighway over to Bainbridge Island to check in with the Inclusive Marketing Lab and our colleague, MJ De Palma.
Oh, hey, yes. Thanks, Jeff. That's right. I'm in my Inclusive Marketing Lab, which today is my living room on Bainbridge Island, Washington. That's my dog, Jet, joining us. I want to give you the download on an initiative we've been leading with here at Microsoft Advertising, and that is marketing with purpose. It's about building a brand that's really welcomed into people's lives by earning their trust and upholding their values. Trust is essential to driving business results, as we really know for a long time now, and it's essential to beginning a relationship with a customer. But I want to invite you to try on a new mindset, that building a relationship with a customer is just like starting a friendship. So, for a brand, try on an inclusive mindset. Shift from product-centric to human-centric. So let me start with a research insight that really stoked our fires about inclusive marketing. People want to spend their money with companies that share their values. And if brands don't demonstrate their values, and then people can't connect. And they are increasingly voting those brands off the island. Bainbridge Island, the proverbial islands. So values drive value. So marketing with purpose is about responsibility, it's about values. Now let's talk about inclusion. When you convey inclusion in your advertising, our research shows 2 main feelings are conjured up in people: joy, woohoo, and trust. To dive further into this topic, let's talk about the role of trust and inclusion in business. Our 2 recent studies were based in the US, surveyed people with diverse backgrounds. These studies explored how inclusion, authenticity, and trust play a role in consumer sentiment and behavior about a brand. Among the key takeaways from these studies is the concept that inclusive advertising does drive trust. Now you may be asking yourself, what does that really mean and how do I implement it in my business? 2 golden rules: be authentic and to be trustworthy. 85% of people say they will only consider a brand if they trust it. 59% are more trusting of brands that represent them. 68% who identify as a racial minority report that they are more trusting of brands that represent diversity in ads. And 52% of Caucasians said the same thing, which brings us to the second rule. Authenticity is the most important brand attribute to build brand love and loyalty. And when a person is exposed to an inclusive ad done authentically, it builds a connection and evokes the feelings of joy and trust. And that is the experience of the ad. So to sum up our findings, being an inclusive, authentic, and trustworthy brand not only creates this positive connection with your customers, but it also increases purchase intent. We found with a 23-point lift. And that leads to loyalty. Now that I've given you the download on marketing with purpose, tag us on Twitter and LinkedIn at #TheDownload and take a look at our Marketing with Purpose resource hub and our inclusive marketing white paper for more deets. On our next episode in the Inclusive Marketing Lab, we're gonna dig further into this research on trust and what it means to be authentic for a brand and dive into this concept of how to avoid woke washing. So join me and the rest of our team on this journey because our best collective future depends on an inclusive today. Jennifer, otherwise known as JSB, over to you.
Thank you, MJ. You're watching The Download. This is episode 1 and our theme is business recovery. In the COVID era, it is clear that purpose is essential to that objective. And who better than Abdelaziz to address business purpose? co-author of the great book Good is the New Cool, and co-founder of Conspiracy of Love, an agency that works with Fortune 500 brands, showing them how to find meaning in the work they do and unlock the power of business as a force for good in the world. We spoke with Avdel earlier on Microsoft Teams. Here's a portion of that interview. Hi Avdel. So 2020 has been quite a year, I think we can agree on that, and it's certainly an inflection point. So tell us why it matters now more than ever for brands to find their purpose.
Sure, thanks for having me, Jennifer. So even before COVID-19 and the racial justice protests, we were really living in a moment where more than ever, people were looking to corporations to do good in the world. And not just say they were doing good, but actually do some good as well. We, as Conspiracy of Love, our brand purpose consultancy, we work with Fortune 500 companies like Mondelez and Adidas and Mars. And what we were finding was a lot of these brands were responding to consumers who were saying that they wanted to buy products and services from companies that contributed positively to the world. As employees, they want to work for these companies as well. And as investors, they wanted to become shareholders in these companies. So for the modern day CEO, it's really a moment where they really had to think about adapting and transforming their companies to become purpose-driven, much like they went through a digital transformation about 10 years ago as well. And then COVID-19 and George Floyd happened, and things just accelerated. The amount of scrutiny these companies are under now from their consumers to not just talk the talk but walk the walk is massive. And that's why we've been seeing companies really step up to the plate and try and do amazing, heroic things to try and support governments and nonprofits as well. So it's really a tipping point. There is a new normal now where this expectation of business being a force for good is now well and truly centered.
So how do we get even started? You've mentioned a few companies that have started to do that and really driving with purpose and their mission, but if you are rethinking your business strategy, how do you get started?
Well, this is what we do at Conspiracy of Love. We help brands and companies find their purpose, whether it's a corporate purpose or whether it's a brand purpose. The purpose really is at the intersection of two things: what your brand or company is uniquely positioned to deliver and what the world needs. And to find that out, we go on this journey. There's two parts to it. One is what we call engage inside. We go and look at the origins of your company or brand. We talk to your leadership, your C-suite. We talk to everyday employees and really get a sense of what is special about the culture of the company, why people show up for work. And then we look at what we call the 5 C's, which are the external factors that can help us triangulate what purpose is all about. Those 5 C's are consumers, so really understanding what your customers are passionate about, why they value your brand. 2 is looking at the competition and category, so you can find a way to differentiate yourselves versus them. 3 is looking at what we call coach brands or collaborators. These could be allies, either nonprofits and culture creators, but also sometimes other brands that you can partner with and learn from. 4 is looking at really challenges, so people who might be against what your company stands for. They usually have a lot of insight as to how they'd like to see your company getting better. And finally, looking at culture, looking at things like the United Nations SDG goals to triangulate what specific social or environmental problems your company can really laser focus on. Putting those things together really gives us the inside and the outside and helps us to triangulate what the purpose of this company should be. And then it becomes the North Star, really the DNA of what the company stands for.
Awesome. Super inspiring. Well, I was going to ask you about your next book. So when is that coming out?
Well, we're still writing it at the moment, but it's called The Principles of Purpose. You know, if Good is the New Cool was really aimed at marketers and CMOs, The Principles of Purpose is aimed at CEOs. We realize that they're really the unit of change when it comes to driving transformation in the company. But there are so many CEOs out there who don't know what a roadmap to transforming their companies into purpose-driven ones look like. And that's what myself and my co-author Bobby Jones are writing at the moment. The book is due out in about October of this year. If you go to afterlaziz.com, you can find a link to pre-order it right now.
Thank you so much, Avdel. Really a pleasure to talk to you as usual, and I hope to come and see you soon in person.
Thanks so much for having me, Jen. Good to see you again. Take care.
Always so inspiring chatting with Avdel. Now let's take a look at a business doing good in times of need.
You're watching The Download. We're speaking with Heidi Cooley, Head of Global Marketing at Crocs. Heidi, let's ask you a little bit about the brand tagline, Come As You Are. What does this mean?
It was created because we realized that as a brand, we were different and we were unique, and there were lots of fans around the world that resonate with that feeling. So our brand manifesto is Come As You Are. We celebrate all different kinds, and we stand with what we call all one of a kinds every single day, as again, what we believe is the ultimate form of self-expression. Our shoe is an incredible canvas to create whatever it is that you're feeling for the day.
Now, queer actress advocate Ruby Rose, she teamed up with you to design the new Just Love Classic Bay clog. It's got a colorful marbling treatment to every shoe and removable laces. How did this come about? And do you see more inclusive design opportunities for the Crocs brand?
Every collaboration comes from a place of authenticity. Ruby Rose was a fan of Crocs before we ever reached out to her about a partnership, and that's the essence of how we go about marketing at Crocs. So when we reached out to her about designing a shoe for Pride, she was in 100%. She recognized the association between our brand manifesto of Come As You Are and the value she believes in as an individual. What I can tell you is there will absolutely be more inclusive efforts from Crocs in the coming days and months and years as we continue to bring to life our manifesto.
So have you seen good return on investment from these strategic moves? That's always a big question asked of, design and marketing.
We believe that our brand momentum has never been stronger around the world. We're seeing positive trends from an e-commerce performance perspective, and most importantly, we're building incredible goodwill with fans that believe in our vision. They too believe that everyone should be comfortable in their own shoes.
How are your marketing efforts impacted during this period of time? What adjustments did you have to make on that end?
Sure, like every brand, we made incredible adjustments real time. Programs were cut, programs were pushed, programs were moved to next year. That being said, the most important campaign we've probably ever initiated to date was our campaign called Prepare for Healthcare. And that was our response to consumers needing our shoes. So within 5 days of healthcare heroes around the world asking for Crocs, a global team initiated a commitment around giving tens of thousands of pairs a day to healthcare heroes. And we gave away over 45 days, 860,000 pairs of Crocs, valued at over $40 million.
Heidi Cooley, Head of Global Marketing at Crocs. Thanks for joining us here on The Download.
Thanks so much for having me today.
Because business recovery during this time is so up in the air, it's good to have tools that react to real-time scenarios. This is where responsive search ads comes into play. Responsive search ads in the search network allows you to set between 3 to 15 unique ad headlines and 2 to 4 ad descriptions within a single ad. From there, Bing will select the most relevant headline and description combination for each given query and corresponding search user. By allowing Bing AI to select the most relevant headline and description for each query, we ensure that the right message lands for each of your potential customers at the right time across all possible intent signals.
For years, we marketers have used the term Noodle to refer to brainstorming on big ideas. So when we decided to include a conversation with fellow marketers here on The Download, we knew immediately what we were going to call it. I'm excited to introduce now our first installment of The Noodle with my colleague Sulin Howe.
Hello everyone and welcome to The Noodle, your monthly dose of what marketers around the world are noodling on. Today the subject is the rebound and recovery process for brands and businesses across the globe. I'm joined by Gisele Kunen from LATAM Airlines in Brazil. In Los Angeles, we have Jeff Pickett from Omnicom Media Group. And in London, we have John Myers from Ascending Media. It's an interesting time for all of us. At Microsoft Advertising, we've been looking at search volume trends and sharing our findings with our partners. And one thing we have noticed is even though the world is starting to open up again, we're still seeing increased year-on-year volume. What has the digital transformation journey looked like for you guys?
We have like two completely different moments. One was our urgent response. So what we had to do on the first month of the pandemic to make sure that all of the options that the client could need were available on our website or through our app. And then in a few months, we will offer a completely new experience. We did rethink that experience from online booking to the airport experience. It's about having everything available in all channels, like a frictionless experience, but mostly is about letting the passenger decide how and when to interact with us.
It's kind of figuring out what you can do when you can't actually have the consumer leave the home. And obviously digital massively lends itself to that. One great campaign that I saw here in the UK was a company called Pizza Express. Again, a big chain of restaurants where you go and have pizza and pasta and stuff like that. They could have easily just turned around and said, well, look, there's some discount, we can deliver it to your home. Their stance was to go into the digital world and talk to their consumer and actually talk to them about be together in these times and be at home with the family. But then the subtle message underneath was pushing the fact that they had a huge amount of their products were available in the supermarket to purchase.
It's very common for us to plan campaigns a quarter or even 2 quarters in advance. We also do extensive contingency planning, like whenever possible. Now, I don't think anyone had like a global pandemic contingency plan that saved them in March or anything like that. We were all blindsided by this. We've had a couple new business wins over the past couple months, and I think that having the processes in place to do that contingency planning has served us really well.
What's been the greatest challenge you've faced and what media channels are working?
We went almost full digital. So not just because of the performance, but also because social media could allow us to listen to our customers. So we are fighting a virus, but we are also fighting like fear. And every moment we had to listen and say, okay, so how can our business deliver a solution for this customer right now? Half of my team was not doing marketing. They were on social media, like reading all the comments and replying to people.
First-party performance data, as far as I'm concerned, should remain the ultimate arbiter in strategic decisions. But we've also found it beneficial to incorporate kind of outside sources. And look, our partners, such as Microsoft, have been phenomenal at arming us with, the broader trends and research and insights that we need to kind of anticipate what might come next.
There's a company called Homebase, which is a huge DIY company, big stores, lots of staff, obviously huge amount of inventory sat on shelves within their stores, and obviously all their stores closed. Homebase very quickly pivoted everything towards their website. And as the lockdown started to ease, they were on the front foot, and their messaging was about, our stores are reopening. And then it was about social distancing within their stores. It was making people feel comfortable about coming through the front door. I think they've just done a fantastic job via digital, keep everybody up to date through the process.
As a marketer, how do you plan for a potential wave 2 of the pandemic?
There's 3 recommendations that I would probably offer up to all marketers. First, spend less time gazing into that crystal ball, trying to divine what's going to happen next. And instead, spend more time trying to plan for every possible contingency that you can come up with. Number 2, meet consumers where they are, geographically, contextually, and emotionally. And then third, hone your adaptation skills and integrate flexibility into as much of your business as possible.
At this point, one of the most important things that all brands can do is allowing people to dream again. And I do believe that at this time, it's a good moment for us to do what is possible to make people start planning again, being a trip, we can get away, but we need to be prepared for a variety of scenarios.
And scenarios like this is to is to move your money to what is accountable, what is transparent, what will drive performance. Test your messaging in paid search. Take two or three different messages, actually test those in ad rotation in paid search, find the message that the consumer likes or relates to, or the one that drives the performance and the conversion, and take that into the offline world. It's very easy to take, £500 or $500 and test it on paid search, rather than putting thousands into, billboards and different things like that.
Great conversation, guys, and thank you so much for noodling with me. If you want more information, check out the link here. Back to you in the studio, Jen.
Thank you, Sulin. Very fascinating conversation. And our thanks once again to our partners for sharing their thoughts. And that is going to wrap up our debut episode of The Download. Please reach out to us at thedownload@microsoft.com and give us feedback. We'd love to hear from you. Next month, we will explore retail and what the holiday season would look like this year. It's going to be very different, we know that much. We will review new retail trends we have seen emerging, like BOPIS, another acronym for you all. It means buy online, pick up in store. And we've certainly been doing quite a bit of that. We will also demo our new native advertising solution in detail, what we call our Microsoft Audience Ads. If you want to expand your reach beyond search in a world where third-party cookies are disappearing, you'll definitely want to tune in for that. Jeff, what else do we have coming up next month in the second installment of The Download?
Yeah, we will be back with a new edition of The Noodle, featuring more industry experts sharing their views on what the retail holiday season holds and how they are fine-tuning their strategy. Also, more insights, the next edition of the Inclusive Marketing Lab, a profile on agency partner leaders, and maybe some surprises.
We love surprises. Thank you so much for being part of the very first download. To all of you, stay safe, stay healthy, et à bientôt.
Microsoft Advertising.
The Download.